GBNews superstar Nigel Farage. And Scotland's First Minister has sparked outrage after saying plans for pro-Palestinian marches in London on Armistice Day should definitely go ahead, despite the Met Police asking organisers to, quote, urgently reconsider. Humza Yousaf said, I understand the march is taking place after the minute silence that we will undoubtedly observe. I hear it's not going anywhere near Whitehall or indeed the Cenotaph. He added, I'm beyond angry at the Home Secretary and the UK government, who seem to want to drive every issue into a culture war. Well, Nigel Farage joins me now. And Nigel, it sounds to me like the First Minister is stirring things up a bit, not out of character.
No, it's not. But of course, it shows an appalling level of disrespect for the sheer level of sacrifice that was made so that we could be a free country. And Scotland suffered disproportionately more than the rest of the UK. He appears to be entirely ignorant of that. He's putting the politics of the Middle East above the interests of this country on what is supposed to be the most solemn occasion of our year. And I also can't help thinking there's a religious element to this. Somehow it's his religion. It is banding together with those in the Middle East of the same religion against the Jews that seems to be number one on his list of priorities. Well, he's in for a hell of a shock because Scotland, just like the rest of the United Kingdom, the vast, clear majority of the public do not want this march to go ahead on Armistice Day. So he's put himself in the wrong place. And to claim that everybody else is turning this into a culture war. No, this is the United Kingdom. Scotland is a part of it. These are our traditions, our cultures, and this is at the very centrepiece of our national year. You know, for a country that is far less religious than it used to be, there is something about these services on or around Remembrance Sunday and Armistice Day that really reach out, you know, way, way beyond people who will bow their heads for a moment's silence, who wouldn't go to church for the rest of the year. This is important. He simply doesn't care.
And now Yousaf would argue that this is about peace rather than religion or politics. But it's interesting, isn't it, Nigel, because this coming weekend sees a tension between the right to protest and a respectful tribute to our war dead. How do you square that circle?
Very easy, isn't it? I mean, the pro-Palestinians have marched for the last 3 weekends in a row. I've no doubt they'll march the weekend after the armistice. It's not as if they're being stopped from protesting. They're protesting all the time. Goodness me, they took over Charing Cross Station the other night, surrounding some elderly poppy sellers. They've got every right to protest, but not on this occasion. And what is so dispiriting is to see this game of ping pong going on between the Met Police and the government, neither side showing the guts or leadership that the country is crying out for.
Now, Nigel, let's talk about your friend and confidant, Donald Trump. His testimony in a New York court played out earlier today. The former president and his company have been accused of inflating their assets to the tune of billions of dollars to get more favourable rates from banks and insurers. How significant is this latest trial? Do you think he can shrug off this legal challenge, of which there are many, and still go on into the White House next year?
Well, this one is an absolute farce. This is about the value of his assets against which he borrowed money from banks. Point number one, Mar-a-Lago was valued at 18 million. I tell you what, I'll find you a buyer right now for 500 million. One phone call. So, I mean, that clearly is a total and utter farce. What is worse still is that Judge Engeron will decide on his own whether Trump is guilty. And he is assisted by a prosecutor who was elected to say she would get Trump. This isn't fair justice. So the significance of this is huge, and it's playing out in the polls. Some really extraordinary polling out yesterday showing that in 5 of the 6 key battleground states, the swing states, Trump isn't just leading, he's way ahead in 5 of those 6 states. So I think fair-minded Americans are saying something has gone very badly wrong here. And I would add to that, if I may. Americans are seeing the scenes on the streets of London. Worse still, the scenes on the streets of Berlin. And they're saying to themselves, well, he might be a bit rough and ready. He might use language we wouldn't choose to. But boy, was he right about this problem.
Well, indeed, Nigel, briefly, if you can, he does have his legal challenges. If he's able to prevail over them and shrug them off, I mean, he will win the next election, won't he? But will it happen? Do you think he will be in a position to run for the White House? Or do you think that the authorities will manage to stifle his attempt at a return?
I think if the American judicial system, politicized as it is, did what they could to stop him from running, I would fear for the unity of America.
Okay.
No, he's going to overcome this. He will be the 47th president of the USA. I believed it for a long time.
You heard it here first. Nigel, I was down at the Australian embassy earlier today. I didn't see you in that queue for a visa, did I?
No, I don't think you did. No, I'm certain you didn't, actually. I do have an existing Australian visa. So if I chose to go there on holiday, I could without too much difficulty.
But also, well, luckily, we share an office, and I saw you trying out kangaroo testicles in the GBNews kitchen. So have you got anything to tell us?
Yeah, cut down on the booze, Mark, because you're clearly seeing things.
Listen, what's the latest? Are you going to do it? Is it a yes or a no, Nigel? What do you think? Are you still reflecting? Are you still ruminating on this offer?
Oh, I've thought about it hard. Yes. I mean, I've thought about it hard for the last 10 days or so. It's quite a big decision. It would be an unconventional thing for me to do. But I don't know. There is a big young audience out there who don't really have anyone that speaks to them, it seems to me, in current affairs and politics in Britain. That's what tempts me, but I haven't signed a contract yet.
Listen, Nigel, if you do it, you will go and smash it, and you will have my support and the support of all of our viewers and listeners. A quick one before you go. A rare good news story, Nigel. Exports to Europe through the roof. Germany and the Eurozone suffer recession. UK does not. The City of London announces several new skyscrapers amid a flood of investment into the square mile. I thought Brexit was a disaster. I'm very confused.
Yes, of course. That's what we were told by everybody, including this Office for Budget Responsibility. Now, these are the people who were as bearish as anybody else about our prospects, and yet this is the organisation that Rachel Reeves says Chancellors of the Exchequer should not be able to move unless the OBR approves. And we can see they are part of the problem, not the solution. No, I mean, look, there isn't too much good news around at the moment, but the fact that UK exports to the EU and the rest of the world are up is at least something we can share.
Nigel, more power to you. Look forward to seeing you back on the box tomorrow at 7. Nigel Farage there.